Alright, hello. It's Brandon back at the easel again here. And I had someone, a friend, a local person here in Tennessee, request that I do a little video using this half round Bob Ross brush. So the half round is called the half round because this is the round. This is actually called a foliage brush. So either one of these works well to do bushes. So normally Bob uses push-up bushes, so he would take a 1-inch brush and he would kind of get up here and he would push up to put the foliage on. That's actually way more difficult for most folks than using one of these, the half round or the complete round. We'll just call that one the complete round foliage brush. So these work great for foliage, making background trees and doing all kinds of good things. So I thought I'd do just a quick little video showing mainly using these. I did of course put the liquid white on with a 1-inch, but I'll mainly use these two brushes. I highly recommend them. They're great brushes. I've had this one for I think since I started painting 5 years ago. So this one's held up really well because I use it all the time. I'll usually use the half round more than the foliage brush, which is just the bigger round. Unless I'm working on a really big canvas, because this one covers a lot of area, this one covers a little less, so a little bit more control over it. Alright, so let's put us a little bit of something back here, a little bit of color. So on my palette I've actually got a crazy color here from the floral line that I darkened just a little bit. But mainly I'm going to use phthalo blue and mountain mix and white. Okay, I've got some turquoise there with some black in it also. Alright, so let's grab just a touch of phthalo blue and I'll put my palette down for this. This is just loading the brush like we normally would. And we'll just kind of put a little bit of color up here in the sky. Just to have a little bit of something. And let's go bounce around. Maybe even swirl in a little bit of color here and there. This canvas I'm using will be thrown away. I don't know if you can see there's a little hole there. So I thought this would be a good one just to play around on. Alright, maybe a touch of mountain mix in my blue. While everything falls down over here to darken this top of this sky. Yeah, I like that. See that? Darken that up quite a bit. And I am going to use mainly white since it's still winter. I'm going to use a wintry palette here and a cold palette. Just throw some of this color on here. And we let it get less and less as we get down there. Just to clean your brush, just go across it here. This might be shadows or something later on. More water. Again, this is not meant to be a full painting. There's more of just how to use that little half round brush or the full round. I'll use both. Alright, so I've got a 2-inch here. Bobby Ross 2-inch here. And just I'm going to start down here and just kind of blend that out just a little bit. Smooth it out as much as I want, or as little as I want. Go across it like that, and boom, you got a sky. Super easy. You know, you could play with that for an hour and make a real fancy sky, but we don't need to. Alright. Okay, so one thing that people always wonder about this brush is how do you load it? So, let's bring our palette up here for you guys to see. And if I'm holding that flat, this would be flat. I'll get my hand out of the way. This will be kind of flat on that palette, right? When you load that, when you load this brush, kind of kick it away from you. Okay, kick it up to where mainly you're putting most of the paint on maybe the top half of the brush. You don't need paint on the whole thing. Now you will get paint on there, but you really want that paint to be concentrated more up into the bristles that you can see that I'm bending. So always kick it away from you, okay? Let's just go into the blue here, and I'll show you. Just kind of tap, tap, tap right in there. I know my arm's getting in the way. Let's see if I can do it a little bit better here. Just going to kind of kick it up towards my ceiling now, and just get me a little bit of that on there. And I'm going to go next door, or two colors over, and grab some white, which is really thin tonight. But it's running down the palette, so I'm going to mix up a little bit lighter color. It's almost like that, a little background color. And I'll show you that if you look at my brush, and the lighting in here may not allow it to show, is that most of the paint's on the top half of the brush. And that's important. It's a good way to get used to loading that brush, is to kick it away from you, kick it away from your palette. Don't go straight in. Kind of just let the main, at least half of the bristles get some paint. But really stay out of the whole thing, worrying about loading the whole brush, and just bouncing it in here until I get a little color that I like. And then loading this is, we're just going to do some little background things. This may be too dark, but I'll use it anyway. You use this just like any other brush, but you've got a little, it's round, so you can control it just a little bit easier, I think. We just want some trees back here. And that'll work for what we're doing. Little indications of trees bouncing around back in here, and we'll just bring that one down. Some of these might be bushes. We'll pull some trees out of here. I'm going to reload my brush off camera, but again, I'm keeping it kicked up a little bit. Maybe there's some stuff happening in here. And how do we want this tree, how tall do we want this tree to get? Right? Maybe something like that. Okay? There's one. And again, I'm keeping my palette very limited on purpose. Just easier for me. I do these little videos. Just some little background things there. Little background guys. And at any point, you ever want to use this and say, well, I want one in front of that tree. We'll just make it a little bit darker, add a little bit more dark to it, and let that one kind of sit there like that. Okay? I need to fill up over here real quick. And maybe this one just kind of sneaks all the way over here and leans over, who knows. There we go. I'll show you what we can do to kind of bring all these out and make them look a little more like trees here. 1 second. Hey, there's something right there. A little bit of dark in. Okay? So we've got those colors. Now they look like craziness, right? You're like, what in the world are you doing? So the easiest thing to do, you can grab a script liner. Well, let's do something a little different. Grab a paper towel, clean off my knife. It's got some paint on it. The easiest thing you can do back in here is just to take the point of your knife and just scratch through that paint and find you a tree trunk back in there. You can draw with a knife. Now I'll show you a couple with, of course, script liner too. But this really, you can get really thick trunk in there. You can hear how hard I'm scratching. Don't cut through your canvas, so if you do, you have to start over. But just some little things back in here. And I'm just using it kind of like a little pencil there. And we'll put one here. We'll let this one be a little tree of sorts. Something like that. You can always wipe that off. And maybe there's another one right here. We don't know. However many you want. Now you can go in directly like this. It doesn't give you the cutting ability that kind of holding it like this and going in and pulling it up or down, whichever way. If I want a bigger trunk, I just scrape out a little bigger piece of it. And you've got some little tree trunks in there. Hope you guys can see those. And there's some little things in here. Who knows? Okay? Alright, so we've got those. And what we can do to make it easy on us, like I said, I've got 82 brushes. I got a clean one. Okay? Now those are background trees. Really wouldn't have to put anything on them. So let's put a little highlight on them. Some blue. I'm sorry, white, not blue. Some white, and my white is so thin I probably don't need to thin it down with liquid white. I added just a touch of blue in there, so let's just take this brush now and just barely kicking it up again, just kind of touch, 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 okay? And that gives you a little snowy highlight. Touch, touch, and no pressure. I wish I could let you guys feel the pressure that I'm using, because I'm using none. Let me do palette up here so you can see it. Again, just kind of kick it up and put most of that paint, use some of that oil to thin that down if it gets too much. Most of that paint's going to be on the top of that brush, if you can see that now. Okay? And I don't want to do every one of these. Maybe this one gets a little bit. And it will make it look a little more distanty. If I get that out right. Maybe there's another one right here. We'll just kind of add a little bit of something there. Let's see. We want some on that? Let's put some on this guy. Yep. This paint's going to run off and leave me here, guys. So when I'm highlighting trees, what you want to think of is just think of a little bush and kind of just put a few little dots. You don't want to do the whole thing. So if I've got a clump of leaves right there, I would think maybe there's the top, maybe a little bit there, and then maybe back there. And that gives me 3 little marks really to get you 3 little lumps of foliage. Maybe let's go right in the middle and just work around. But one thing you've got to be careful of is not going back over those. Once you do them, you're done. Okay? Because it will get muddy on you if you try to keep going over and over and over. And it just won't work out for you. There we go. That was standing out a little bit better. Maybe a little bit more right there. And just roll that brush and figure out where you would have clumps of leaves on the tree. And that's all you're doing. Boy, that's getting cold back in there. I'm hoping for some snow here again. I don't get much snow. Let's put a little bit of bush here in front of this tree. And I'll show you what I've got planned. Now, if your paint's too thick, guys, what you can do is grab some liquid white and just add just a touch of that in there. Because what you should be able to do is touch, and that paint, I'm barely touching. And that paint will just come right off there. Okay, and if it's not coming right off onto the canvas, onto the other paint, you probably need to add a little bit of liquid white to your paint. I would say you could add some paint thinner. I trust liquid white a little bit more than paint thinner, because once you mess up with paint thinner, you've got a mess. But there's a little snowy background for us to use, and we'll put the rest of the painting in and see what we can come up with, because I have no clue what I'm painting. Let's see, what do we want? I bet it would look good if I took my 1-inch brush here, load up some white. Again, I'm doing this off camera, I know. And what if we had a little bit of snow? Where do I want to start that snow? It's kind of pulling in some snow here. Yeah, just like that. And we'll make that a little path back in there. Yeah, there we go. Now I need a lot of paint. Let me show you what my brush looks like here. Look how much paint's on there. And just pull straight across. You don't have to pull the whole way. And then you can just lay that brush flat down and just pull that paint on there. If you've got enough on there, it should look like snow. That's why we put a little bit of that blue on here. Let's go from here now. Ooh, it'll run down on my floor if I'm not careful. And we've got a little bit of texture, a little bit of snow. Let me show you one other thing that you can do. We can take this brush. You think you can make these trees and you'd be like, that's all you can do with it. No, we could actually do this. It's got some in it. Let's just put some little heels in here with it. Okay, a little darker heel right here. Coming down maybe like that. And then we can use that and we can just put a little bit of snow on it. Kind of throw it on there and that'll be a little bit of a shadowy area there. Neato, right? Neato. Now I'm going to grab some of that base color from those bushes and just kind of pull it down a little bit. I'm going to make it a little bit of a snowy area there. Don't pull too much. Maybe a little bit right here. Be a little bit of a shadowy effect. Smooth out my snow again. And now we've got us a path. Got us a path there, guys. And if we wanted to, we're getting real fancy, we could take our knife and really, you can see how loose my white is tonight. It is almost like liquid white. And maybe this path, this meander down through here. And again, wherever. Just a little indication of something. Mainly I want to show you about the trees here. Making them with this wonderful brush. Now, I've got those background trees in. I probably want to do another bigger tree with this half round. So I'm going to go into a lot of mountain mix and the blue and just a touch of white. And the reason I'm using white is just to make the color just a touch lighter. There's a good firm base. And we need a tree. We need another big tree that comes, and we're going to lose a lot of that background. Why'd you paint it? Because I'm showing you what I'm doing with the brush here. Let's turn it this way, okay? And we'll just tap in. Let's just tap in a little tree that kind of hangs down like this. And we can have it. We can save some of that background. Load it up again. And I'm just kind of smacking the canvas. There's really no secret to painting. You just have to believe that you can do it for one, but you also just have to try at it. Now, what I'd recommend here, because again, I didn't know what I was painting, I'd always recommend scraping off whatever you don't need. You'll get in problems, because that's got thin paint on there. Scrape it off and then go back at it again. And I'm just going to tap in some kind of little tree shape with little limbs hanging out. Just like that. Yeah, we kept most of our background. Really, you can see. Smash, 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 right? And we'll figure out where we want this guy to live here. I don't know if he comes all the way down like that, but I'm putting him all the way down for a purpose. We'll have some bushes down there. Alright, let's let that one hang down a little bit more. There. Maybe that one's a little bit out there. Who knows? Again, just me using this brush. Trying to figure out. There could be a couple trees here. And then we can have some bushes. Down here is not. See how I'm using it for bushes now? Just turn it a different way and just tap. And it does great at making little bushes and things. Just take those all the way off there. But really dark down in here in this corner. Let's actually darken that up just a little bit more. There we go. There we go. Just a straight mountain mix there right at the corner. And now we've got a little scene there that we can bring it out a little bit more. Let it hang over a little bit more. There we go. This is where you get in trouble, by the way. But we know that we can fix whatever. There we go. Alright, so again, I did not bring a script liner because I didn't want to use it tonight. We got a big tree here. Oh, watch this. Got a big trunk too. A lot of pressure. Really figure out where that guy ends at. Right in that bush there somewhere. We'll make him a little bigger here in places. But if you ever don't like that script liner and you're trying to paint some trunks and things, let's get a little bit bigger there. There we go. If you don't like it, we'll cover it up. And then we know we're going to have some branches come off this guy, right? To hold up all this stuff. Okay. Just like the script liner, let this little knife wiggle and jiggle too. It will work nicely for you. There we go. Right there. Maybe let's connect that one. Nothing to it, right? There. Got all kinds of branch stuff in there going on. Let's go back to our light colored bush. Okay. Not bush. Sorry, guys. Brush. I'm out of white, so I'm going to grab me a little bit more white. So that out on my palette as it runs out of the tube. Alright. Alrighty. I might take just a little bit of blue, put in my white again. but I predominantly want this one to be white. Now, with that much snow, don't ask me what kind of deciduous tree this would be. But again, take that brush, look how much paint's in there. And it's thin paint. I didn't thin it down, but my paint's thin. Again, use liquid white or thinner if you need to. But let's figure out, we know we're barely touch the outsides of the dark. Now, one thing I want you to notice is my brush stayed good and white. If you start looking at your brush, or you start looking up there and looking at your brush, and you've got a lot of dark on there, your paint's not thin enough. Your base layer has to be thicker than what you're putting your highlights on with. If it's not, you're going to just make mud. So make sure that you watch that and kind of keep that nice and loose. That paint should be nice and loose so that doesn't happen. That starts happening, add a touch of liquid white. Don't be scared to use things like the white. And I'm just going to figure out where there'd be some little things living in this tree. Now, a little bit of dark coming off will not kill you. That's actually fine. But if it gets too dark on you, just remember that rule that a thin paint will stick to a thick paint. And if it's not sticking to a thick paint, your thin paint is not thin enough. Let's go right here maybe with some little guys there, and just got to figure out where your highlights live. Making sure more than anything that you leave some of that dark area. And we know that we need to probably cover up most of that, so we'll just kind of right like that. Oh, where else? Right here maybe. I see a clump of leaves, and just turn that brush as you need to. These are snowy trees, so don't know again what kind of tree this would be that would have its leaves still on it. Some kind of evergreen that looks like a deciduous tree is what I'm going to claim. But I'm barely touching. I really wish that I could show you guys the amount, or wish I could have put a pressure gauge on this brush so that you could see that I'm using no pressure. Your paint should come right off of that brush. If it doesn't, then your paints. Then your paints with liquid white first, or liquid clear even. If you use white, your paint will, of course, become brighter. If you don't want your paint brighter, maybe a touch of liquid clear, linseed oil, something like that. I, of course, use liquid clear. Thinner, yeah, thinner works. Thinner absolutely would work. But, goodness, you can get in some trouble with thinner. So be careful. And there's a nice little snowy tree. Boy, that looks snowy. Whew. That looks cold, doesn't it? Very blue, very cold. That's what I like. All right, we need some bushes, okay? And we'll just kind of use that same principle. Again, I got to get some more white out, though. There's a lot of paint on here. I wish you could see how much paint's on there. One of the things that you see more often than not if somebody's messing up a little scene like this is that they're not using enough paint. You cannot put a little squirt of paint out and expect to be able to paint the whole painting and do bushes and everything with it. You've got to have a lot of paint. So make sure that you have a lot of paint out and available. Let's push a little bush here, touch, touch, touch. Maybe we'll let this one kind of come over here, like that. Then we'll drop down and leave a little separation there. And the separation will give it some space and make it look like there's some depth in there, which is what you want. I'm going to come back to that little area. We need something there. A little bit there. This brush, I mean, we've painted almost the whole painting just using this brush. And it's great. It's a great brush. If you don't have one, grab you one. Company sells them and will sell you one, I guarantee it. Now let's add some color in here. Let's add some color. I'm going to go to my turquoise that I laid out. Just as a change of pace here. And maybe that one just kind of comes down like that. Something like that. Again, there's no wrong way to do a bush as long as you leave some space in here. you'll be fine. And if you start noticing your brush starts gumming up with too much paint, take a minute, clean it out, maybe thinner, clean it, dry it out real good, thinner, clean it, and then come back at the canvas. Don't just sit there with gobs of paint and trying to make something work that probably won't work. Again, a light touch, no pressure, and you're just, again, I know I've said it probably 10 times or more already on this video. I can't stress enough that there is no pressure with this. Okay, now we've got some bushes down there. What if we wanted, and you can do this before you put the highlights on, it's probably easier for most folks. Throw some little sticks and twigs in here. You could do this with a line or two. You know, Bob liked to do this. Just cut some little things in here. I always like to go into the dark and do this. That way it looks like it's little twigs and things happen. You can go back in here and just throw some little sticks, you know, sticking up. Maybe. Let's see. Yeah, we go here. And you can overdo this, by the way. I painted one of the first paintings, or maybe about the 5th painting. I thought it was great, and then I looked at it later, and I had maybe 2,000 little stick marks. I was just having fun making sticks, so it just got to be too much, though. All right, there's some little things. And if we wanted to, we could do something else. We could add another tree over here, but honestly, that's probably good. Probably work on my path just a touch and call her good. I think when I grab those, a fan brush, I think that's what I need, what I'm needing, I should say. It's just a little bit more dark in here. Get rid of that little bit I made there. Somebody's going to see grandmother there. They're in the snow here, and there's a little path they're walking on. Let it get wider and wider as we get. If I watch this, I'm gonna hurt my bush. Oh Lord, what did I do? I'm gonna put it back. Yeah, just something like that. A little bit of a path. It could be water, whatever you want it. Again, I didn't intend to paint a painting really. Smooth that out with my 2-inch brush. Get that hair off there. A little bit, set that down. And if I hurt my bushes, watch this. Come right back. Go into some color here and put one back. And maybe I hurt that one a little bit, so we'll just put him back. Well, I think we got our bushes back. I got a script liner here. Let's put a stick or two in here. I like sticks. So I did that whole painting mainly with that one brush. I could probably try to do a stick with this brush, but I probably better not. Let's throw a couple little sticks sticking out here. Something. I grabbed one of my old script liners, not really working that well. Worked good enough, won't it? Little dark sticks. I like little things that add a little bit of interest or something. Maybe there's one kind of peeking out here. No pressure on that brush. Just kind of, I'm going to get up on it and just get right back off of it. Oh, there. Just something like that. Set that down in the bushes. And I think that should do it, guys. So again, I just wanted to show some folks me using that brush. And again, I'll do another little video when I use these too. But this is a little quick one. A quick little painting. You could really turn this into something nice, probably. Use different shades. Of course, got a little lighter blue there, got a little darker over in here. And of course, got really dark here. Highlights at what? Phthalo blue. mountain mix. You could substitute mountain mix for like a midnight black and white, and you got a painting. You know, somebody'd be happy to have that. I tell you what we could do to set it off and be done with it. Well, bonus tip time here. Alright, because I think it'll look good on this one. I'm going to take a fan brush. I got a clean mine I had here using for the path. And this is hard for me to show you the right consistency. I would take a touch of liquid white, a touch of titanium white, put those on the palette, mix them together with just a touch of paint thinner. Okay, so you got all those. A little paint thinner, a little liquid white, a little titanium white, a very loose consistency. Let me move all my brushes off my palette and I'll show you what I do here with it. I always make a mess when I paint. Do you make a mess when you guys paint? I bet you do. Maybe you're better than me. I bet that's true for sure. So I've got a little color here. So you can see it right there, how loose and runny that is. It is running a little bit. That's thinner, liquid white, and titanium white. And of course I use my dirty white, so it's a little blue. But what I'm going to do is just load it in the fan brush a little bit. I actually kind of load it backwards than normal here for this. I go up into it like this. Okay? Take that, and I would encourage you guys to get something to practice before you do this, because you can run a painting real quick. And I may run this one live right here. Of course, I'll edit it out, so I don't know. Yeah, that's about right. We'll throw some snow in here. I'm wanting snow, so why not make it snow on my canvas, right? I don't know if you can see that. You're just flicking. I'm holding the knife steady in that hand. Almost got a death grip on it. That's about as firm as I'll ever hold one of these knives. And I'm just raking the fan brush across it. It flicks that snow on there. You won't flick it all over on a snowy scene. You do the same thing for stars, but again, if this is snow, so it would hit everything. It wouldn't just hit in the sky. There we go. Snowy little scene. Yeah, I kind of like the snowing in the painting, the snow falling in the painting. I can't talk tonight. Get a sip of tea. And thank you guys for watching. If these are helpful, or if you've been enjoying them, even if they're not helpful, let me know. Leave a like, subscribe, share it. Sharing it's probably the best thing you can do for me. But any requests or anything that you guys would like to see, just send me a picture or something. I'll paint it up here on the tube for you guys and put it on here. And with that sip of tea, I will sign off. Everybody stay well, be good to each other, and I'll see you down the road.